Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and thank you for joining me once again for another live chat. Let me give a chance to get everybody situated here. Give me a chance to see you. Hey, everybody. I am Mary from Mary's Heirloom Seeds, and I always appreciate everyone that joins me here for my weekly live chat. It is Thursday at 5 p.m. Central every week. Almost every week. So I'll give you guys a chance to settle in and get comfy and grab your water or whatever you're drinking tonight. And we're going to discuss some of the things that we do in the fall, late fall, early fall, whatever, for winter. And depending on where you are, some of these tasks can be done during the winter. Again, depending on where you are. So for those of you just joining me for the first time, welcome. For those of you who join me regularly, welcome back. It has been a crazy week in the seed shop this week. It's always interesting to get all of the 2024s ready and the 2023s out for our school garden donation program. If you are joining me, please just let me know where you're coming from. Say hi. I always enjoy those of you that let me know where you're coming from and say hi in the beginning. Again, let me give myself a second and get comfy here. So today, hey Krista, thanks for joining us. So I want to talk about the things that we do for, it's kind of, okay, so I'm in East Texas, but depending on where you are in the US, you might be covered in snow, so you might not be doing this. If you're in California, you might still be growing. If you're in Florida, you're just getting started with another batch of seeds. So I always try to share information that's relevant for everybody that's watching. For those of you that don't know, Mary's Heirloom Seeds was started in South Florida in 2021. And here we are in beautiful East Texas. I still love you guys in Florida, but here we are in East Texas, and we have a lot of different changes that we do. We have more visible seasons than we did in South Florida, of course. So we're going to talk about things that we can do, chores that we can do in the garden for late fall, early winter, depending on what is going on where you are. So, we don't have snow on the ground. Hey, Agape Field, thanks for joining me. So we don't have snow on the ground right now. So there's a lot of things that I can do in the garden that are fantastic to do in 60-degree weather versus 110-degree weather in the summertime. So now is the time. For those of you who are just joining me, thanks for joining me. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. The actual shot, whatever you call it, thumbnail for this video is a beautiful pile of soil that was delivered, and it is Mary's Christmas present. Every year, my husband and I have been together, I think it's 15 years now, and every year I've asked for soil or compost. This year he's like, is there anything I can get you that doesn't involve dirt or decomposing matter? I said, nope, I just want the soil. So that image is my Christmas present. I'm just blessed to have a husband that is willing to do all the crazy things that I love to do. Krista says winter comes in for about a week in February, or it seems the past couple of years. Yeah, so I'm going to get to that as well. So that soil pile will be part of my winter preps, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. So in the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide and an email sign up. If you aren't signed up for my emails, I cannot stress to you enough how much information is shared in our emails. And I don't share your personal information with anybody. We don't sell your info. It's just for garden related and seed related info. So now let's get into the garden part of fall, late fall, early winter. For those of you that don't know, December 21st is the winter equinox, and that is the official start of winter. I will not be live next Thursday. It's a special day for us, so I won't be live. And you might be like, lady, that's a special day for gardeners, but it's a special day for our family. So I won't be live next Thursday. So this is a special Thursday where, I won't see you guys for a little while. So I'm just kind of popping in and hoping to share some helpful information about what we do to get our gardens ready. So while you should be removing weeds from your garden or diseased plants from your garden in late fall to get ready for winter, you should not be doing things like raking up your leaves and things like that. Leave those for beneficial insects and beneficial animals in your garden. If you have if you're like me and you've got a crazy amount of birds in your area, we feed the birds and we attract them with certain things. When you have seed heads, leave them up. They look okay. They may not look pretty, but they are so beneficial to some of the later birds that are in your garden and going, what can I eat? What can I feed on? Because we need them in our gardens to help eat the bugs and spread the seeds. So all of these things are important for your garden. You don't want to rake up the leaves because those have beneficials underneath there that you don't want to disturb. Super important. It's important that ground isn't bare over winter, and that's another reason why we don't want to be raking up all those leaves. If you allow those leaves to decompose, don't worry, they're not going to break into your house. They're going to feed your soil for next year. So don't rake up those leaves. I cannot stress to you how important it is that you leave those leaves to feed your soil. Debris on the ground can also prevent soil erosion. So again, another reason why you don't want to be raking up those leaves. It acts as a natural mulch, keeps the soil in place, and then you don't lose some of the valuable topsoil erosion. So we want to keep those leaves in place. Not just that, but some of those plants. So next on my list is composting. Now is a great time. If you've already pulled up all of your dead plants that were not diseased, you can throw it in the compost. It's a fantastic option for you. Now, if you don't follow me on Facebook, I just posted hot compost versus cold compost. So those are two different options for you. And now is the time to start adding to those compost piles. Over winter, you can also mulch your plants. So pre-winter, fall garden stuff, mulch your plants. You can mulch your fruit trees, mulch your garlic. If you planted seed garlic, did you buy seed garlic from Mary's Heirloom Seeds? If you did, I hope you are amazed because the garlic that I have planted has been fantastic. And the same garlic that I plant is the same garlic that I sent you guys in your orders. And it has been amazing. So for those of you that have questions, for example, you can always send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com. So if you've got questions about seed garlic or fall or winter or whatever you got going on, let me know. So we're just talking about things that you can do that are winter prep for your garden. You can call it fall prep. Again, it depends on where you're at. If you're in like Vermont, where you already have snow on the ground, it may not be as relevant for you, but you may have been doing it weeks ago or even months ago. So it really just depends. Krista says you bought our garlic and it's doing great. Awesome. Thumbs up. We love to hear that. So now is the time to clean your tools from your garden and store them properly. So if you are done with your garden, so you've already cleared out your beds or your garden space, your garlic is growing and you don't really have much going on in the garden, now is the time to clean your tools. The best way to reduce the spread of soil-borne diseases and plant diseases like powdery mildew is to keep your tools clean. I know it sounds silly, like you're like, what does that do with seeds, Mary? But it's important. So now's the time where I sterilize my wheelbarrow, I sterilize my shovels and whatnot. Anything I use in the garden, any of the trimming material or trimming tools that I use, I'm going to sterilize those now and I'm going to store them. You can oil them up, make sure that they're ready for you and not rusty come spring. Super awesome and important. Did I mention don't rake your leaves? I might say that a couple times during this chat because it's super important. Now, if you missed it, if you don't follow me on Facebook, I just recently posted that the video I did about using organic matter, free organic matter to build healthy soil. And one of those is using leaf mold in your garden, which is super beneficial. So if you haven't already seen it, it's not a live video, but you can check it out on my YouTube channel. And it's just making leaf mold. It's not the end result. It's just how easy it is to get started on making leaf mold. So definitely check that out. We have a lot of different plants and trees and whatnot on our property. So I use leaves for mulch and I use leaves for my compost. It is super beneficial to your garden. Now, another thing is soil testing. So if you did not do a soil test during season and you don't have snow on the ground, now's the time to do a late season soil test. Now, it's not the best time of the year to do a soil test, but it is important. Say, for example, you had a deficiency in your tomatoes that was not necessarily obvious until it was too late. So now's the time to start testing your soil to make sure that you plan on some of those deficiencies. Hey, Serena, thanks for joining me. It should be done, as I mentioned earlier in the year, but you can still do it later on in the year. Now, the reason I mentioned that is earlier in this video, I mentioned that I had a soil delivery. So I have brand new raised beds. Now is the time when it's 50 degrees outside, 60 degrees outside to start filling my new beds. I don't want to be doing this when it is 100 degrees outside and I'm roasting myself outside. I can do it in a sweater and I don't have to worry about just kind of collapsing from the heat during the summertime. So now is the time to start filling those beds if you've got extra raised beds, but also I'm going to test the current raised beds that I already have in place so that I know what type of deficiencies that I may have after growing. Now I'm also going to test the new pile of soil and see what I might be missing in that soil that I can add it now so that it has a chance to decompose and mesh with the soil that I already have. So super important. If you haven't done a soil test and you're not in under 6 feet of snow, now's the time to do it. Hang on just a second. Krista, if you can use your extension office, some extension offices will do it. I'm crossing my fingers that my local extension office will do it. I do not have experience with my local extension office, but I have a really good friend that works with me and she is very friendly with our local office. So I'm going to try and see what they can offer me as far as a soil test is concerned. Sometimes people say that it is very expensive to do it from the extension office, but you get a more in-depth test. But also you can do store-bought, so that's an option as well. Hey, David, thanks for joining us. Serena says my garlic is going like crazy. I have mulch down and about 2 inches of mulch. Will that be enough to keep it from getting killed when it freezes? Absolutely. Now, the key to keeping your garlic alive during freezes and during snow is making sure that you have enough mulch. Like I mentioned earlier, make sure you have a good enough layer of mulch so that those bulbs underneath the soil will survive. The greenery on top may not survive, but it will come back in spring. So just throwing that out there. David says, I just had some extra garlic that was growing in my kitchen and I just put it in a pot to grow. That sounds like fun, David. So we're talking about tasks, chores you can do in the garden, different things you can do in the garden now in preparation for winter. So if you're just joining us, thanks for joining me. If you are newer to our channel, welcome. And then please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, another thing I'm going to be doing this month, or I should say this weekend, is going to be topping up my garden beds. So that giant pile of soil you saw in the thumbnail for my video is also going to be added to raised beds that I already have. And as that soil, as the extras that I've added to it start to decompose, it starts to get a little lower and a little lower. And I don't till that up or mix it up because it has healthy layers in it. So I'm just going to top it up with some compost or top it up with some raised bed soil mix. That way I've got a really good healthy soil and garden space to work with come spring when I start planting in those raised beds. Now is the time, as I mentioned earlier, you can start your leaf mold piles, you can start your compost piles. If it's not snowing, it's a lot easier to do these tasks. If it's already snowing, it might be a little late for you, but this might be something you can use for next year. Now, take into consideration, now is a time during late fall and early winter, you want to take into consideration what did well in your garden and what did not do well. Now is the time to say, okay, those gray zucchinis, they did fantastic. That lady slipper radish, maybe didn't do so well. Maybe that watermelon radish did amazing in fall, but not in spring because it's easier planted in fall than spring. Maybe you planted cilantro during the middle of summertime and you didn't know that it is a cool weather crop. So you want to make sure that you plan ahead and you want to plant that in spring and not in the middle of summertime. So now's the time, once your garden is pretty much put to bed. For those of you in Florida that are watching, like I mentioned earlier, you're probably just getting your garden back up and running after the heat. So this might not be beneficial to you, but in the description section of this video, you'll find a link to my comprehensive planting guide, which has Florida specific gardening information. So late fall, midwinter is a great time to reflect on what did really well in your garden and what didn't do so well. So you can maybe either tweak your garden to continue growing those, or maybe go with a different variety that maybe does better in your area. Serena says, I still have sugar snap peas growing. It's getting below freezing here a few nights. I still have blue potted pea growing in my garden, and we've hit 30s, 29 every now and then. Not a lot, but it's about 60 during the daytime and about 30 at night. So peas love like the cool weather. What is it? Southern peas. Thank you. There's two different peas, garden peas, southern peas, and both of them are totally different. Garden peas, fantastic for cool weather. Southern peas love hot weather. And those are going to be like your pigeon peas and your Crowder peas, things like that. Now is also the time to take into consideration soil deficiencies. I mentioned that earlier already, but that is super important to point out. So if you had noticeable deficiencies in your plants that you need to adjust now, a soil test will give you the most accurate information. Or if you don't want to do a soil test and you don't necessarily have to, you can always just observe what type of deficiencies you had and then amend from there. So those are a couple things that you can do. And another thing you can do is plan ahead for crop rotation. So if you grew tomatoes in that area this year, you're going to want to change it up a little bit and plant something different. Something that is less nutrient dependent, like beans. So that is possible for some people that have a larger garden, and it may be a little more difficult for people that have smaller garden spaces. So if you cannot practice crop rotation, if you cannot practice crop rotation, you can also amend your soil ahead of time so that it is ready to take on the heavy nutrient requirement plants like tomatoes, peppers, squash. So something to consider if you have a large garden, do crop rotation. If you have a smaller garden, you can amend your soil. David says, I've tried to save a bit of the soil that I use for my containers and either reuse it out my garden beds or get new containers. I like to take my containers and I'll put it in a my wheelbarrow and I'll add more stuff to it, because sometimes in containers you get compacted soil and it gets a little frustrating. So I'll definitely mix those up. Serena, I don't carry Job's Tears seeds, so I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. From what I remember, those seeds are very, very hard. They may require cold stratification, but at a very minimum, you're going to have to soak them for 24 hours before you plant them. But I'll give you more specific information on that. It's just not a seed I carry, so it's not on my list of herbs and seeds to cold stratify. So last but certainly not least, because I'm going to head out and finish up for the night, two things. I made myself a cool sweatshirt and I'm kind of excited about it. So if you want a sweatshirt, they're not going to be at marysheirloomseeds.com, but you can always send me an email. My email is mary@marysheirloomseeds.com, and I can make you a custom sweatshirt. But you also want to plan for potatoes right now. Why is that? Potatoes are a spring planted crop. So like garlic is a fall planted crop that you've got to pre-order first, seed potatoes are a spring planted crop. I have had much better success growing spring planted potatoes than I have in fall, because it's still hot in Texas in the fall. So I do try to work around what we're dealing with, but we will have spring potatoes this year. So if you're interested in those, send me an email. I'll put you on the list and you can figure it out. Krista says, will you be selling seed potatoes? Yes, we will. So if you want to get an update right away, you can sign up for my email list. In the description section of this video is the email sign up. Krista, I know you're already signed up, so you can always get the update as soon as it's available. And then also, I just sent out an email today that today's the last day for orders for like holiday gifts. So if you need holiday gifts, today's the last day. Today is December 14th. The post office is, I wouldn't say they're slower, but they have a lot more packages. So the packages tend to take a little longer to get to you. And then we've got so much awesomeness ready for 2024, and I'm really excited about it. So I will not be here live on the 21st, which is our winter equinox. I will be enjoying a nice and quiet day off. It's like unheard of for me to take a day off, so I'm kind of excited about that. And then we've got a lot of excitingness coming up for January 1st. I will be announcing all new 2024 garden challenges. So I'm kind of excited about that too. We're going to do dinner plate tomato, which is a brand new one. We're going to do giant Belgian pink tomato, and we're going to kind of compare the two. Krista, I will be here before the new year, promise. Let's see. Serena says, do I need to do anything to asparagus? I don't have mulch on them. I generally mulch my asparagus for wintertime. You don't necessarily have to, but it would be a really good idea to do it. It will keep them a little healthier. Alrighty, everybody. So if you've got any questions that I didn't answer for you live today, please send an email to mary@marysheirloomseeds.com and I will answer your questions. But I am signing off for the day. Today is December 14th. I go live here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central Time, and I'm going to go enjoy a little bit of downtime and some yummy and delicious dinner of the greens that we harvested from the garden today. I'm Mary at Mary's Heirloom Seeds signing off, and happy planting.